Gentlemen, we are going to call the December meeting, 5th meeting of the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to call the roll to determine our quorum.
Alderperson Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Chapletsky.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Lasik.
Here.
May.
Here.
Probst.
Alderperson Probst is excused.
Ranke.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
10-9 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderman Vitale.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to item D on our agendas, we have one item for public hearing this evening. I will ask the clerk to read that item.
A hearing on the resolution to confirm and adopt the report of the Director of Public Works, City Engineer, containing the schedule of proposed assessments for improvement of West National Avenue from South 70th Street to South 76th Street and portions of intersecting streets.
Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor Devine. Okay, this is the public hearing for National Avenue. Here are the procedures we'll go through tonight. I'll go through the project scope and the costs. We'll discuss assessment rates, methods of payment. Then we'll have a time of comments and questions for the Common Council, and then a time for citizens as well. Then the hearing will be closed and referred to the Public Works Committee later tonight. And then further later tonight, it would be referred back to the full council here in this room. So here are the project limits from 70th to a little bit west of 76th Street. This is an actual picture of the concrete when it was brand new in 1941. You can see the vintage of cars. So that concrete is still there, still underneath. It's 76 years old. But by 1986, it looked like this, same section. It had a bunch of potholes. So 1986, we resurfaced it with asphalt. So now that asphalt is 31 years old. And the concrete underneath is still there. That's 76 years old. So this is what it looks like now. Extensive alligator cracking like this is really the final stage of a pavement's life, severe pavement deterioration. There are far too many cracks to seal anymore. Routine maintenance is difficult and expensive. They tried, but really too many cracks to fill. And not only the street, but under the street, the utilities are very old. We're going to put in a new water main. The existing water main's from 1909, 108 years old. We are going to put in new copper water pipes up to the curb stop valve, but we're not replacing the private portion of the water up to the house at this point. We are putting in new storm sewer and laterals to each property. The existing storm sewer is from 1940, so that's 77 years old. We're putting in a new sanitary sewer because the existing one's 108 years old from 1909, and then there will be new streetlight poles and cable. We did do a traffic study on this segment, and we found there are 13,500 cars a day. There are 120 crashes over the 3-year period, including two fatalities and 46 injury crashes, which is well above the state average. There were also 4 crashes involving pedestrians and 4 crashes involving bicycles. So some of the improvements we're looking at are new left turn lanes at 70th, 71st, and 75th Street. New bump outs and countdown pedestrian signal heads at the intersections to help the pedestrians cross. And new bike lanes and green bike boxes should help improve safety for bicycles. This is a picture of the green bike box on North Avenue in Wauwatosa, which helps bikes turn left, which is a very dangerous maneuver for a bike. We've had 3 meetings so far. This is the 4th meeting, and there'll be another meeting, another neighborhood meeting in February to go through the final detours and access and schedule. But so we've had 3 meetings so far. The council did adopt a strategic plan for the corridor after having these meetings with the public. That plan will be implemented over the next 3 or 4 years as we do different segments of National over the next 4 years. There will be several sustainability benefits to the project. The gravel used will be 100% recycled. The fly ash will be added to the concrete to reduce the need for cement. The new asphalt will be made with recycled pavements, and then there'll be new LED streetlights to help reduce electricity by 66%. This is a pretty close representation of what the road will look like. This is actually Capitol Drive in Shorewood, which is what we modeled the new street after. So we actually are having these very same light poles and these same benches, and we will have bump outs like this, and we will have brick in the terrace, and we will have trees, and we will have bike lanes. So that's kind of what we modeled our street after. Here's some of the amenities that I just showed you: the benches, the trash receptacles, raised planters, brick, tree grates, new lights. So we're going to dress it up and make it look a lot nicer. And this is the cost of the project. It's $4.9 million. If you add up all the various components, the pavement, streetscaping, lighting, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water main. And here's how that's being paid for. We are getting $1.8 million in federal funding, so that pays for 36%. Federal funds do not pay for water or sanitary, so we have to use our own water utility to pay for the water main. And then we are using our stormwater funds to pay for the storm sewer, our sanitary funds to pay for the sanitary sewer. Special assessments are $162,000, so that's only paying for 3%. And then the rest is coming out of the general fund citywide property taxes for 40% of the cost. Here's a sample special assessment for a 40-foot residential lot. $59.25 is what everybody pays. Most of the residential lots are also getting a storm sewer lateral in case they ever want to put in a sump pump or something like that. So the cost to the homeowner would be $3,000. If you have a driveway, there's an extra fee for that, $7.40 per square foot. The bills will not be mailed out until about March of 2019, not 18, not 17, but actually in 19, so that's a year and a half from now. You wouldn't see a bill, and when you do get the bill, then you would have the option of a lump sum payment or a 5-year plan or a 10-year installment plan. So if you were to choose the 10-year installment plan, your first payment for the whole year in 2019 would be $425, and then by the 10th year, in 2028, your payment for the whole year would be $315. Here's a little background on why we do the special assessments. We have been doing it for over 100 years. In the old days, the residents actually paid the full cost, 100% of the new street in front of their property, because they enjoyed a unique benefit from having this improvement in front of their property. But on this project, you saw that special assessments are actually only paying for about 3% of the total cost. But that doesn't change the fact that everyone is paying $59.25 per foot, no matter where you live in the city. For all residential properties anywhere in the city, no matter how wide your street is or how high the traffic volumes are or how high the actual bid prices are, everyone's treated equally. Everyone pays $59.25. So that's an important fact on a street like this where there's 13,000 cars. The people on that street are paying exactly the same as somebody on a cul-de-sac that has no traffic. So everyone pays $59. State law has allowed this for over 100 years. In addition, there have been over 100 court cases that I'm aware of that have upheld this law as a fair and reasonable method to recoup the cost of these projects. So special assessments have certainly stood the test of time as a reasonable way of recouping costs. Special assessments are also the only way to ensure that tax-exempt schools, churches, charities, hospitals, county parks, utilities, railroads pay their fair share too. No one is exempt from special assessments, even though there are 430 properties in the city that do not pay any property taxes. And many of these tax-exempt schools, churches, hospitals, and county parks are very large properties. They actually encompass 28% of the total parcel land area for the whole city. And they only contribute to the city's costs through special assessments. Businesses, corporations, manufacturers pay a higher assessment rate to ensure they contribute their fair share. Their assessment rate is $74 to $88. So there are a lot of businesses on National that are paying the $74 per foot. As an example, the Masonic Lodge is actually paying $12,453 in special assessments, even though they do not pay any property taxes. This is a map of what I was just saying, that the shaded areas show all 430 tax-exempt parcels in the city, which total about 28% of the total land area in the city. So I'm just making the point that this is the only way we get any revenue from a lot of these properties. And this map shows every parcel that has paid a special assessment in the last 10 years. So if you see the different colors represent different projects, different years. The places where you see white, those are people that have not had a special assessment in 10 years, but very few and far between. So I guess the point is almost everyone on the east end of West Allis at least has paid a special assessment for either an alley or a street in the last 10 years. So everyone is paying their fair share. There are a lot of properties on this particular project that do have a long side on National. I just wanted to quickly go through that this is not unusual. There are actually 10,000 parcels out of the 19,000 in the city that do pay for more than one side of their property, 55% of all the parcels in the city. There are 3,400 parcels that do pay for more than one street. And then there's another 7,400 that pay for their street and their alley. So I think there's a lot of larger parcels on this project that are paying for National and for around the corner. So the longer side of that, you do get a discount. So if you have a 120-foot long side, the assessment rate's the same, $59, comes to $7,000, but then we take 60% off the long side. So we subtract $4,200, leaving the $2,800. That's what you would pay. So we give you a 60% off on the longer side of your property, but you do still have to pay for both sides of your property. And we do have an interest rate if you opt for the 10-year plan, just to keep it fair, because the city is borrowing the money over the next 10 years to pay for this. The city passes these interest charges on to the residents over the 5 or 10-year plan. The city does not make a profit off of that. But that would be the fair way, because the people that pay now are paying in cheaper dollars than the people who pay it off over 10 years. So this is a little bit about the schedule. You're probably mostly aware that the gas main is actually going in right now. That's underway. The gas company is replacing all the gas mains in anticipation of our project. We've uncovered 7 gas tanks in the past 2 weeks, so those are coming out. There's a picture. There was a gas station at Lumen's Glass. I didn't know that. But there were 5 gas tanks there, so those are all coming out. And just as an aside, the Expert Automotive is being raised starting in the next few days at 71st and National, so that work will be going on. But the actual project that we're talking about tonight doesn't start until May 1st or thereabouts. So the work would start on May 1st. You can see it on this little Gantt chart here. They would start working on the sanitary sewer, and then the water main would go into June, and storm sewer would go into July. So during this sewer work, it would be possible to get in and out of the properties adjacent to your property. It's just when you get into July and August, where we're replacing the pavement, that it's going to be very hard to get onto National or to get somewhere onto National. This is a very important date here, August 14th. We're keeping that 76th Street open until August 14th, and then we do need to pave the intersection with 76th Street, so that will close after the day after the fair, keeping it open through the fair, but then after the fair that will close, and we'll work on that intersection, and hopefully all the work will then be done by November 1st or thereabouts, depending on how the weather is next summer. There will be a detour down Greenfield, down 76th. Once the 76th Street intersection is closed, that will be extended over to 84th. There will be access across National at 76th until after the fair. We are going to have access to the library at all times. We're going to have a detour down Lapham. We're going to turn 75th Street into a two-way street, and we're going to get the people into the library that way. The fire department will have access at all times to 73rd Street to go north or south. 70th Street will be open across for most of the time. There is a little bit of paving work that has to be done there, but so there will be access across the street for most of the project. If you do park on National, you'll probably have to park on side streets. We do not require a permit when we're doing construction. The police will increase patrols in the area. And if you do have need of a disabled parking space, we can put those on the side street. And any of these permits or license plates would allow you to park close by in one of these designated parking, disabled parking spots. So let us know if you need that type of arrangement. And with that, I'll entertain comments or questions from the council and citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Are there any comments, questions from the members of the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Haas?
Yeah, Pete,
Up there.
you mentioned that 75th Street would be two-way. That's just for the duration of the project.
Yes,
And then when
and
the project's
just,
done, it'll go back to,
just south of Lapham too, just to get into the library.
thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Weigel?
Pete, I know the contracts haven't been let yet, but speaking to some business owners, do we know, are they starting in one direction at 76th or 70th? We don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. Yeah.
And then which side of the street would be closed first? We don't know that yet either.
Maybe we're having that meeting in February. And we're actually already working with the communications team here to come up with some flyers and brochures that will have detour routes and, and if some of the businesses want to put a sign on the barricade that I'm open for business, we'll do that. So.
We'll have those, we should have those answers in February, though.
Yep, in
but we'll see.
February, hopefully.
Okay.
When we have a neighborhood meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Vitale?
Yeah, I'd like to really praise Mr. Daniel in reference of his presentation about the offset of the interest, the 4%. Years ago, we always incur some comments or complaints from people when we had a street project. But the city doesn't make any money at all on the 4%. If people choose to expand, like I said, at 10 years or 5 years, there's no profit for the city's portion, really. So I'm glad that finally, Pete, he's really done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other comments or questions from the council? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the members of the audience? Okay. That will conclude our public hearing. I will close it, and we will move to item E on our agendas, which is citizen participation. It's the opportunity for residents to address the council on any matters of interest to them. Is there anybody that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Okay. We will close citizen participation and we will move to item F, which lists out the room numbers where our standing committee meetings will be held during recess. Those room numbers are listed on page 1 of your agendas. Excuse me. Move to item G, the mayor's report. I just want to start on a sad note and pass on condolences to the family of Pat Hadalak, who passed away last week. Pat was a long time volunteer in the city of West Allis. She was involved in the women's club. She volunteered at the hospital. She volunteered on several citizen committees. She, in 2015, got nominated and became a member of the Milwaukee County Senior Citizens Hall of Fame. Her and her husband were both diagnosed with cancer within a day of each other, and he passed away a few years back, but she just passed away last week. So I believe I can safely speak on behalf of the council in extending our condolences and our appreciation to Pat and her family for all the years that she has given to this city. They counted up on the organizations that actually tracked hours, and she had put in almost 1,600 volunteer hours in all the different groups that she did, and I know Alderperson Ranky was very close with Pat. So she will be missed. We are going to miss her smile. We are going to miss her energy and her dedication to the city. Now I'm going to brighten things up, and I just want to thank and commend everybody who was involved in all the events that took place in our city this past weekend. We had nonstop things going on, from the Christmas market at the farmers market Friday night and Saturday. The downtown business district had their Christmas on the Avenue events going on Saturday. We had, I believe it was Horace Mann, West Milwaukee, and Hale all performing out in the plaza before we did the city tree lighting. I want to thank Lucille, who helped me light the city tree, and I want to thank Don Falk and Pam Zorko. I want to thank Tony Hess and all the people that worked on the parade and narrated the parade. International Autos and several people donated cars. I got to ride in a car that I will never be able to afford. And then on Sunday, the local 1004 had a pancake breakfast, a charitable pancake breakfast at Station 2, which was well attended. And in the afternoon, the West Allis Historical Society had their holiday open house at the museum. So it was really a great weekend of events. A lot of people made that happen. And I also want to mention the city departments that took time and staff hours to pick up garbage, clean before the events, police presence during the events. It was really a team effort, and I think the city really shined this past weekend. So that concludes the mayor's report. We'll move to item H. Do we have any reports from the alderpersons? I covered everything.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick,
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of November 21st, 2017.
Second.
there's a motion with a second by Alderman Vitale. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Items not referred to committee, if we could have a motion to refer items 3 and 4 to the city attorney.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Alderman May, second by Alderman Barzak. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. License and Health, Alderman Chapletsky.
I'm going to report those out after recess meeting.
Thank you.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderperson Ranky. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess.
Tom, did you get to the market?
I can run faster now.